deep into this life, falling through the rings of sunshine, explore and fantasize, pick an outfit for this ride, trying out all styles, and don't leave any friendships behind. Add a final touch, snap a photo so adventures can rewind. The world is full of surprise all the time. Make a wish and your dreams will come to life. Soaring high into the arms of clear blue skies. Roam the fields so green, the breeze is picking up. It's time to rise.
Hello everyone, Monster here, your favorite gacha playing Fox VTuber. And guess what? We got yet another gacha company that got overly greedy. I guess they learned nothing from Tribe 9's failure. In this video, we will get to see some really serious gacha drama that's been unfolding over the past few months. As someone who's been playing gacha games for a long time now, I have seen plenty of controversies come and go. But this one's a doozy. We're talking about Infinity Nikki, a game that launched with so much potential at the end of 2024. A beautiful dress-up gacha with RPG elements that was actually positioned to be a real unique and one-of-a-kind gacha on the market. I mean, just look at this gorgeous game, these outfits, the world, and the character designs. But what happens when a game with virtually no competition in its specific niche decides to go full greed mode? That's right, folks, we're chronicling the rise and potential fall of Infinity Nikki, from its promising beginning to its current state of controversy and player outrage. Grab a drink, some buttered popcorn maybe, and a cozy seat, cause this is the complete story of how Infinity Nikki went from to disaster in just a few short months. Let's rewind to late 2024. Infinity Nikki launched to incredible excitement in December 2024. The game offered players a cozy RPG experience with gorgeous dress-up mechanics and gacha elements, all wrapped in a beautiful open world. The initial reception? Absolutely stellar. Players were enchanted by the game's beautiful aesthetics, engaging gameplay, and seemingly generous gacha system. Gaming outlets like Eurogamer called it a true step forward for open-world gacha games. The players loved it, and the revenue showed it, going from 0 to 20 million in just one single month. The game quickly became the 9th most profitable gacha on mobile devices, an incredible achievement for a new entry in the market. With PC as its main platform, Infort Games was ranking in a serious revenue from excited fans and eager newcomers. I'm sure everyone remembers those early days fondly. The community was thriving, content creators were showing off beautiful outfits, and everyone was excited about what the future would hold. If only we knew what was coming. But before we dive into the version 1.5 disaster, we need to talk about some concerning signs that appeared as early as version 1.4, which many players now see as red flags they should have paid more attention to. In version 1.4, Infort introduced a purely decorative bathtub item with a pricing strategy that raised serious eyebrows. The item was marked up to an absurd $70, but then slapped with a 79% discount tag to make it appear as a $10 deal. Here's the thing though, I'm pretty sure that this kind of fake discount pricing is actually illegal in many regions, including Europe and Canada. It's a deceptive marketing tactic designed to create a false sense of urgency and value. Moonstar from the future here, and a big update just happened while I was editing this video. Turns out it might really be illegal what they did. Also, it seems that the community has had enough and are prepared to sue Infold over the hidden and undisclosed rates of certain pieces, false advertising the bathtub, currency vanishing, unable to log in to claim the monthly pass, and others. I will put the Reddit thread in the description below. Now back to our usual video. What made this even more ridiculous was that the bathtub had no practical use in the game at that point. So players were essentially being asked to pay for a useless decorative item that they couldn't even use properly yet. Also, during version 1.4, many players purchased time-limited discount bundles to prepare for the upcoming version 1.5 content. These were actual legitimate discounts this time that many players took advantage of, spending their monies in good faith. Little did they know what was coming next. March and April 2025 were relatively quiet for Infinite and Nikki. The developers were hard at work on what they called their most ambitious update yet, version 1.5, also known as Bubble Season. Players were excited. As mentioned earlier, they even went and bought the discounted packs in preparation for this version. New challenge levels, new tasks, new gameplay features. It all sounded amazing. And to top it all off, the game was finally coming to Steam after months of Epic Game Store exclusivity. What could possibly go wrong, right? Oh, sweet summer stylists. Everything could go wrong. And everything did. April 28, 2025. A date that will live in the infamy for Infinite Nikki players. Version 1.5 Bubble Season launched alongside the game's Steam release, and it was a complete disaster. Let's break down this catastrophe piece by piece. First, the technical issues. Players on PS5 couldn't even start the game without completely re-downloading it. PC players faced constant crashes. Some players reported that Nikki wouldn't even move. The Steam launch was plagued with instability issues that left new players frustrated and veteran players furious. But Moon, every game has its fair share of technical problems at release, I hear you say. If only it was just that, but as we saw with Tribe 9, the technical issues were just the appetizer before this feast of failure. The two new 5-star outfits, Snowbound Ballad and Undying Ember, suddenly contained 11 pieces each, a significant increase from the previous standard that was 10 pieces. This meant players would need up to 2020 pulls to collect full sets, and this change came without any warning. Also, at the same time, I believe, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, they added the extra 20 pulls to the PT. To make matters worse, Infold was releasing multiple banners in a very short time frame, stretching players' resources to the breaking point. The fear among the community was that these 11-piece outfits would become the new normal, forcing players to spend more and more to keep up. And here's where things get particularly sneaky. Infold introduced an unannounced, time-limited spending event in 1.5 that provided bonus rewards for people who spent real money on the game. Yeah, remember those time-limited discount bundles from version 1.4 that players had already purchased? Well, if players had known about this upcoming spending event, they might have held back and waited. Instead, they were forced to either spend more money or miss out on the version 1.5 bonuses. Many players felt cheated, used, and milked by what appeared to be a deliberate strategy to extract maximum revenue. And rightfully so, if you ask me. The new dice system was another major point of the controversy. Infort had hyped up this feature, but the reality was deeply disappointing. About 90% of the palette colors were locked behind a new currency, with the only reliable source being the monthly shop, which was extremely limited. And it gets even worse, the dice themselves were often inaccurate. The underlying color of the clothes would remain visible through the die, and in many cases the color palettes shown in the store looked completely different from the actual result. Imagine buying what you thought was a red dye only to find out it looks hot pink on your outfit, or a green dye that somehow appears to be blue. And did I mention that dye palettes had to be unlocked for each piece of outfit instead of the whole set? And that the most desirable colors like pink, black, and white were locked behind 5-star outfits only? The entire system seemed designed to extract maximum currency and by extension real money from players. A very scummy move, if you ask me. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, I come and say, but wait, there's more! Players discovered an unfinished zone and disappearing currency. The developers even completely removed the beloved intro that had been in the game since launch. Yet another major issue affected the players who had purchased the monthly diamond subscription. Due to the widespread technical issues, many players couldn't even log in to collect their daily diamonds. When they reached out to the customer service about compensation for these missed rewards that they had paid real money for, they were initially met with silence. When Infort finally responded days later, their response were essentially, "Not our problem, deal with it." They would not provide any sort of compensation, and even more, suggested that if this happened again, players should just log in from another device. Easy, right? This response potentially violates consumer protection laws in many countries. And the story, you ask? Retconned. The developers made significant changes to the narrative without warning, confusing and frustrating players who had become invested in the world and characters. The Sea of Stars prologue felt rushed and disconnected from the established lore. The result? A flood of negative reviews on Steam, turning what should have been a triumphant platform expansion into a PR nightmare. Chinese players took to social media platform Rednote to organize a protest against the changes. This quickly spread to the global communities, with players across the world joining in the boycott, demanding that Infort return the game to what it used to be. Infort's response to this? Delete every single thread and ban the word boycott, which led to what is now known as the Girlcott. One Reddit user named KiaXXL posted a call to action, urging players, hold back your pools for a couple of days to help show we want Infinite Nikki to remain fun and fair for all players. The post explained that gacha games track how successful new content is during the first days of release, and that a spending boycott would send a clear message to the developers. The game's rating on Steam plummeted to mixed, a far cry from the glowing reception it had enjoyed at launch. For many fans, the silence from Infort was the most frustrating part. A game that had built such goodwill was squandering it by the day. Also, I think this was the time when the players detected suspicious favorable reviews that may or may have not been bought by Infold. Finally, on April 29th, Infold broke their silence. The company issued an apology letter across all official channels, acknowledging the technical issues and promising to address them. They offered compensation in the form of 10 Revelation crystals, 10 Resonance crystals, and 1,200 diamonds. They also agreed to revert the Mira Crown event to end on May 16th instead of the extended timeline they had initially announced, which had caused confusion amongst players. In their statement, Infort wrote, "We're acutely aware that these recent issues have impacted your experience and damaged the trust and affection you've placed in us. To all stylists, we offer our deepest apologies." So let me translate this if you don't speak corporation talk. We actually knew and did this on purpose, knowing that it will impact you all, but we didn't care and thought we could get away with it like some other companies did, except now that we got caught, we have to pretend that we are sorry and give you some compensation. While some players appreciated the quick response and the compensation, others pointed out that the apology failed to address one of the biggest concerns, the new 11-piece outfit standard. The fear remained that the future 5-star outfits would continue to require more resources to obtain. As one Twitter user put it, "I wish you would finally change the drop rate. It can't be that I need 200 pulls to get a 5-star and then you drop like 5 banners within weeks. Make the rate lower or give us more diamonds to be able to get crystals. This is not fun." Oh, but the story doesn't end here. By mid-May, it became crystal clear that the technical issues with version 1.5 were more severe than initially thought. On May 19th, right on my birthday, Infold announced that they would be delaying version 1.6 until June 12th, 2025, a significant postponement that highlighted just how problematically the current version was. As compensation for this delay, players would receive 360 starlit crystals plus daily rewards of 120 diamonds and energy crystal from June 5th to June 12th. Yet most people have called this their attempt at breaking the boycott, or Girlcott as is now known. The developers also launched a new initiative called Miraland Roundtable to gather players' feedback. They encouraged players to email suggestions with the keyword Table Advisor and use the in-game customer service, and they swore that this time they would listen and respond to you. Surely, right? Regarding the story changes, Infort clarified that the Threads of Reunion storyline absence was never intended as a removal from the game's narrative. They explained that due to technical hurdles in version 1.5, we were unable to properly refine the introduction of the Sea of Stars chapter and the narrative setup for Threads of Reunion, which regrettably led to confusion. Now you might be asking yourself, what problems could have possibly been that they needed to remove the already made introduction and story? From my experience as an indie game developer, I can only think of two scenarios. Either someone fumbled and deleted some important assets or probably some code, or They wanted to completely overhaul it to be more in line with their new gritty view, and they backpedaled when the community exploded in their face. The developers stated, "These elements are planned for future updates. Plans are underway to expand tiered cumulative top-up rewards in upcoming versions. New gameplay systems will undergo rigorous design scrutiny to ensure seamless integration in the open-world experience and lore consistency." While some players were satisfied with this more detailed response, others remained skeptical, and rightfully so. The mention of expanding tiered cumulative top-up rewards, essentially spending tiers with rewards, raised red flags again for those concerned about increasing monetization. The game's Steam rating remains mixed. Future Moon here with another update. It seems that things have gotten only worse for Infinite Nikki on Steam. It went from mixed to mostly negative now, though there have been a slight improvement following the developer's more comprehensive response and compensation offers. Player numbers have declined since the version 1.5 controversy began, though a significant core community still remains. The question is whether Infold can win back the trust of those who have left or are considering leaving. Version 1.6 is now scheduled for June 12th, and the development team has promised it will be more stable and better integrated with the game's existing systems and lore. But will it address the monetization concerns that sparked so much of the controversy? Is Infinite Nikki in danger of end of service just like Tribe 9 was? It's too early to say for certain yet. The game's financial success prior to the controversy suggests that it indeed has a cushion to weather the storm if, and only if, the developers can correct the course quickly. The real risk, however, isn't immediate shutdown, but a slow and steady decline as players lose faith in the game's direction and move on to other titles. In the competitive gacha market, regaining lost trust is much harder than maintaining it in the first place. And that brings us to today. The story of Infinite Nikki is still being written, but it serves as a cautionary tale for game developers everywhere. Here was a game with literally no competition in its specific niche. A beautiful open-world dress-up gacha with RPG elements. It had captured a dedicated audience, received positive reviews, and was generating significant revenue. But obviously that wasn't enough for them. Cause then, in what appears to be a case of corporate greed overriding good game design, it shot itself in the foot. Or in both feet maybe. The lesson? Players will accept monetization since they know exactly what they got themselves into. Gacha games are always inherently monetized experiences, but they expect fairness, transparency, and respect, or at least the illusion of that. When developers suddenly change the rules without any warning, when they seem to be extracting more money for less values, players will notice, and they will revolt. As a gacha veteran myself, I've seen games recover from far more worse controversies. Infinite Nikki still has the core of a wonderful game, and if Infold truly, and I do mean truly, or at least pretends to listen to the player feedback and makes meaningful changes, even if it's just to save face, it could regain its former glory. So, what do you guys think? Has Infold done enough to address the concerns, or is it continuously digging its own grave? Will you be sticking with Infinite Nikki or moving on to other games? Also, have you noticed that they have yet to address the increased pity or the added items issues? Do you think they will address it soon? Or will they try and hope the players will forget about it by just showing they fix smaller issues and give out some compensation? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, this is Moonstar, signing off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all the latest gacha drama. See you next time, and may your gacha pools be blessed.